is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Hi, I'm Bran, and I like real art, like Christmas movies that came out after 1992.
I'm Alonzo, and I obviously will go with any excuse to allow me to watch and discuss Christmas movies at an inopportune time of the year. And this
is the Deck the Hallmark podcast. Yeah. We're back, everybody. Another Monday, which means another week in this thing we're calling 25 Weeks of Christmas Movies. It's been a journey. It's been a journey so far, Alonzo. That's one way to say it. Week number 6.
Yeah.
Week number 6. And in case this is your first time, it's very simple. Alonzo is telling me of movies that are like classics that I should watch I've never seen before. And then I do the same for him, but with newer ones that he probably has seen before and hates, but I love.
There's some on that list that I haven't seen yet, and maybe this week you've hit on one. Who knows?
I that was the goal. The goal this week, as I was looking through the list that you sent me, and some of the ones that you sent on that list, I also haven't seen. So,
okay.
Maybe we'll do one of those together to see what happens. And then on week 25, you guys can all recommend movies, and Alonzo and I will pick one of those to watch. We've got a couple come in. I feel like I saw one on social media the other week that I was like, that's a good one, but I don't remember what it was. I should have wrote it down. And here we are now. Alonzo,
at Hallmark Podcast, or leave it on our YouTube page or whatever.
That's right. Alonzo, how are you? Happy Valentine's. Is it Valentine's Day? No, that was last week. I'm confused by the way in which we record this show.
I don't know. Look, for the last going on 3 years now, time is a flat circle.
No. Today is Valentine's Day.
What? Oh, wow. Well, happy Valentine's.
And you're wearing red and everything, pal.
Yeah, look, it fits for so many holidays.
That's exactly right. That's the nice thing. If you have red lights or something for Christmas, you just keep those suckers up through February.
Sure.
You're good to go.
My Valentine's decorations? I can't take those down.
Can't like this is. There's nothing more cheery. Are you a big Valentine's guy?
Not really. I've been with my husband for 27 years, so I kind of look at Valentine's as amateur night, just we eat a lot of chocolate, which I'm down for any candy based holiday, but you could not pay me to go to like some schmancy candlelit restaurant and try and get a table with the people who are trying too hard. So
yeah, I am pro love.
Yes. No,
I am anti people telling me how and when to love.
There you go.
We love every day, but I do love candy. Just like Alonzo. I love candy hearts, which is a very polarizing thing.
Oh, those little with the sayings on them?
Yes, but I only love sweethearts, which have become harder and harder to find due to the rise of Brach's, B-R-A-C-H, that have become the new staple, and they're trash. And so I have gone on the record as often as I can to try to get people to understand that Brach's are trash. And
if you're going to eat something that chalky, it better be an antacid,
But the sweethearts I don't feel like are chalky. I feel
the kind that Sweet Tarts makes, right?
No.
That's
they're sweethearts. It's a totally different thing.
Okay.
There are sweet tart hearts.
Gotcha.
Which aren't bad.
Not this. Okay.
Not this. No, these are very different.
I go right for the chocolate. I'm sure you guys have some heart-shaped Reese's around the
you talking about the Reese's? You talking about the Reese's?
The Reese's, yes.
Yeah. Any excuse to eat Reese's shaped candy. It's they're the best. It's better than anything else. Better than Reese's cup. Reese's.
Exactly. It's all about that chocolate peanut butter proportion. And there's definitely, I think for a lot of folks, give me those holiday shapes and don't bother me with your cup.
Right now is like prime because you had the football shapes as well for Super Bowl. So it's like there's a lot of great shapes out there right now. I don't know what you do for Easter. Yeah, I mean you can't do crosses, right?
No, Egg,
eggs. I always felt so bad as I felt wrong, even as a kid, like getting those chocolate crosses. I was just like, this.
They make them real. I didn't know that was.
Yeah.
They had a Kit Kat in them.
Oh my dude, it's just like a straight up cross of chocolate, and I'm like, I don't think this is what he had in mind. I don't think this was the man. I am gonna die for you. And in return,
it's going to be delicious.
I want it to be delicious. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think you could take the reason for the season a little far. I don't know.
Nothing like eating a cross and thinking about the story behind it. Really just works. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
To find out what it is that we're watching today.
Lay it on me.
This is a movie, I think, Alonzo, that may have come up in your Google searches a lot last year.
Okay.
The movie is the 1998 classic I'll Be Home for Christmas,
which I have never seen.
Hey, we're doing it. I did it. Now, I will say this. This is not a movie that I watch every year. It's actually a movie that I only saw for the first time a few years ago, but I enjoyed it. Of course, I love Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who doesn't. Jessica Biel's a delight. And so there's a lot. I'm excited to see your thoughts on this movie because it's dumb as all get out. But every time I would search for our book on Google, be like, "Are you sure you don't mean this one?" And I'm like, "No, I know why you might think that, but no."
Yeah, this is one that to be honest, I knew it existed, and I wound up not even really looking at it for the book, just because everything I read about it online was so very negative.
Oh, it's trash, dude.
People hate this movie, so I just didn't bother. But now is my time. Now is my chance to see this thing and have my own opinion.
I'm so happy. This is exactly what I assumed. I assumed you read about this movie and you're like, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth it.
Basically, yes. So,
and I mean, it was, but it is prime Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I as a film critic, I live to be delightfully surprised. So I try to go into everything with an open mind.
I don't think this is gonna be it, man. But but I'm really happy for you to be given the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate it, sir.
The nice thing too, though, for me is I haven't seen it in a few years. Like the other movies that we've done, I could have done these shows without watching them. I watch them because I love them. But this one, I'm gonna rewatch it, and actually really pay attention. The other ones are like, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I could do this in my sleep. This one isn't one of those movies. But I'm very excited.
Maybe you will come around to a different conclusion than before.
100%. There is a chance that I watch this again and go, man, this is very bad. I know that it's trash, but I do remember liking it. So we'll see. I mean, it's like Hallmark. I know it's not good, but try and stop me.
That's not the point.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Jessica Biel. So let's have some fun. Let's take a quick break. We'll go watch it, Alonzo, and then we'll come back and we'll break this movie down here on Deck the Hallmark. We're back here on Deck the Hallmark. I'll Be Home for Christmas movies. It's hard not to.
Yes.
I'll Be Home for Christmas movies is available now wherever you buy books. But that's not what we're talking about today.
It's never too early to start shopping for next Christmas.
That's right. And I saw they had some deal going on or something on the Amazon. It was like 3 for $2, 4 for $2, something Rig putting it together. Rig works for Amazon now. He's the new
that scans somehow.
He's the new Jeff Bezos. And somehow we still have to pay him. It's a mess out there. Are you ready to dive in? I'll do a little synopsis if you don't mind.
Oh, by all means.
Let's do this thing. I'll Be Home for Christmas movie. I just did it again. I'll Be Home for Christmas was originally released November 13th, 1998. And went a little something like this. So the movie takes place with Jake, who is in California for college, although he's not from California. He's from the East Coast. And he's in love with his girlfriend, Allie. Although kind of just a jerk. He's just kind of doing things like trying to help jocks cheat and stuff, but whatever. And one of the things that happens here is he doesn't want to go home for Christmas, movies, and because his wife, his mom had passed away, and so his dad remarried, doesn't want to hang out with her. But Allie, who grew up in the same town, I guess, does want to go home for Christmas. So despite the appealing offer to go with him to a beach in the Caribbean, she's like, no, I want to go home. And so he then gets a call from his dad, and his dad is like, are you coming home? And he's like, no, I'm not coming home. I got too much to do here. And he's like, I'll give you the Porsche if you come home by Christmas Eve at 6 p.m. for Christmas Eve dinner. And he's like, okay, I will do that. And he has he's planning on doing it. He's going to go with Allie. It's going to be a whole thing. And Allie are going to road trip, I guess, across the country because college. But when a deal goes bad where he's trying to help these jocks cheat, but then the bully interferes, and they all get mad at him, and they take him out into the middle of the desert dressed like Santa and leaves him there. And so he is then trying to get back to college. He's trying to get back to Allie, but then he realizes that's not going to work. And so then he's just trying to get home to get to the Porsche. And he hangs out with some old ladies. He helps a police officer and his wife get back together. He does all of these things, and eventually he's able to get close, but no cigar. And Allie is getting mad at him. She's finally found out the truth. But it's a whole thing. And so then he's able to get in contact with his sister, and she's like, hey, if you get on a plane right now, you'll still make it home. Plane. And so she's like, I'll use all of my money and I'll get you home for Christmas and all this stuff. And he shows up at the airport, and apparently if you don't have an ID, I don't know if you know about this, if you don't have an ID, you can't get on the plane.
Even so before 9/11.
I know. It's a whole thing. And so then he gets on a train, which leads to getting on top of a car, which leads to a horse, which leads to him going to Allie's house first and saying, hey, sorry for being who I am. And then he finally shows up at the house. He shows up in time, but he waits because it's not about the Porsche anymore. He really wants to be with his family. He's learned a lesson, and everybody's happy. And then there's a parade, and Merry Christmas to everyone. And that was I'll Be Home for Christmas movies. Let's talk about it, Alonzo. I'll go first,
okay.
And then I'll hand it off to you.
What's your history with this film?
I don't have a ton of history with this movie. I if you recall before the break, I mentioned that I chose this movie because I didn't think that you had seen it, and I was correct. So I'm excited to hear. But I had seen this movie a few years ago. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who didn't love him back in the day, when he was at this age, who knows what he's doing now. But he was a delight. And I remember enjoying this movie and watching it now. I do enjoy this movie. It's definitely not on the top of any list of mine. And it's not a movie. Is someone playing the recorder in the background, or is that
it's garbage truck day? It's that magical time in my neighborhood.
It sounds like a recorder. And it's not gonna go on my list of movies that I'll watch every year, but I do think it's a pretty good February Christmas movie. When you need some Christmas cheer, you're in the desert. He's in a Santa suit. He's trying to get home for Christmas. Shenanigans ensues. And so it's a good Christmas. I enjoyed it, and it gave me some Christmas spirit. And so job well done by that. It's not at the top of any of my list, but I'm happy that I found a movie that you hadn't seen. And now I'm going to hand it over to you to hear your thoughts on it.
Great. Well, I know that so far, on the weeks that you have picked a movie, I tend to be very negative, and I don't like the film, and I pick apart all the things that are wrong with it. And we're doing that again.
Okay, great.
This movie is singularly charmless.
Come on.
No, look, we've talked about this before. Like, your TV nostalgia and my TV nostalgia are obviously way, way apart.
Sure. So JTT's not doing anything for you.
Much older than you. Yeah, I have never actually seen an episode of Home Improvement in my whole life ever. So this might be the first thing I've seen him in, apart from like one Showtime movie years ago where he plays like a gay soldier or something. And
and it's like, there are kid actors who get older and they still rely on like a lot of kid actor habits that they picked up along the way. Although also I could definitely see some of his stuff was like, you went to the Tim Allen comedy school. Like, there he has certain like responses, like, whoa, like, kind of reactiony things, or like faces that he'll pull, or like that is what Tim Allen would do if Tim Allen were in this movie. I think to play a character who's like the lovable rogue, who's like the charming con man, he's unreliable, he's like, pulling a fast one, but he's just so charming, you can't resist. You need to be more charming than JTT is in this movie, I think, to pull that off. I'm reminded of like Jason Bateman in a short-lived but well-remembered TV series from the 80s called It's Your Move, where he played the son of a single mom, and this guy moves in next door who's like, not super rich, but like the Jason Bateman character is trying to get the mom to marry a rich guy. And so the next door guy and Jason Bateman are constantly like trying to outfox each other, and it's really funny and it's charming. And I was just thinking about that a lot while I was watching this, because I wasn't really enjoying this at all. Yeah, I don't feel like the character learns all that much, and when he does, it's really heavy-handed. He still seems kind of smarmy at the end, so I didn't necessarily buy any of it. The song choices are very of that moment. Like, you're going to start your movie with Cool Yule? Great. Oh, it's the Cherry Poppin' Daddies version? Not great, Yeah, I was not feeling it. There were occasional laughs when the when the mean jock is trying to be poetic and he says, "Nobody, not even the corn, has such big ears." That's a funny line. A steak restaurant called Turf and Turf is funny. But overall, yeah, I just was not. I can see why people don't care for this movie. And Roger Ebert, I think, said it well. He goes, "This is the kind of movie for people who don't care if nothing good happens so long as nothing bad happens," which I think describes a lot of like the Hallmark universe in terms of the Hallmark fans who are like running to GAC because of whatever reasons. Like, it is a thing where like a movie can be boring and predictable and whatever else, as long as nothing they object to takes place in it. Also, is that a college or is it a high school?
I think it's college.
And I thought it was college too, but it's like there's lockers and there's that skinny kid, and like there was a very high school vibe to it for me. It didn't feel like a college. So from the get go, I'm like, wait, what's happening here, and why? And why is she going cross country with the gross jock guy? I don't know.
But what's new, Pussycat?
What's new, Pussycat? I know.
It came on, and I was like, "This is the movie. This is how I get them."
I like that we circle back to that joke. That only people who have really been paying attention to the podcast will even know what we're talking about.
I said, "This is the one that Alonzo's gonna like."
That was a special. That was a special moment. This is directed by Arlene Sanford, who has done a ton of TV. You go down her IMDb page, and she's directed like every show of the last 3 decades, but she's only done a handful of theatrical films. And 2 years before this one did one that I think is actually really funny, which is a very Brady sequel, which was the second of the Brady Bunch movies. Yeah. Again, talking about my TV nostalgia. And Gary Cole, of course, plays the dad in that one. So, it was nice to see him back for this one, but he doesn't get to do much in the movie, but be on the phone and fret.
I think what this movie could have used, all of the little off ramps, those storylines, be it the old people to the guy who's actually a criminal to
the waitress
to the police officer with the waitress. None of those people are really likable, so it makes it a little bit tough. If he was learning lessons along the way. But instead, what is happening is he's just kind of still being a con man. Like, he's just trying to.
Yeah, like that. I don't know if you ever saw Trapped in Paradise, which again is like not at the top of any of my list, but a movie I think is really funny. It's Nicolas Cage and John Lovitz and Dana Carvey as 3 brothers who like go to a small town, rob a bank, at Christmas time, and then they can't leave. There's like a snowstorm or whatever, and everyone in the town is being so nice to them, not knowing that they're the guys who robbed the bank. And the longer they stay, the worse they feel about the fact that they have like stolen money from these lovely, nice people. And so, yeah, there's a fun way to do that kind of redemption arc of somebody who's like a complete con artist, chiseler, out for himself, selfish jerk who comes to understand stuff. But like this movie, when JTT gives back the money that he won in the 5K,
to the mayor.
so the mayor can buy turkeys for the impoverished or whatever, it's like that comes from nowhere. Like we have not set up that he has learned anything up until this point. The whole thing with the fact that everybody decides that it gets all maudlin about their relationships because of the one little kid in the hospital who really wants to go home, like that's so bad that you have to do that moment as a joke. Like you have to be in on the joke of how corny this is. And this movie is doing it completely straight-faced and straightforward. It's like, oh, come on, movie.
My favorite part of this movie is early on, the cheating sequence with the beepers.
Yes.
Like, what does she think they're doing? just staring at their beepers as they
that's that was a scheme that seemed doomed to fail anyway.
And if we were doing what the homework sequence, there's so many just with the school. Who's the school? Who's the kid that's helping him with all of these things?
Yeah, who looks like he's in the 7th grade.
Why is JTT and Jessica Biel both in a California school, despite both being from the same small town in New York? These are all questions that we don't even get to ask.
Yeah, when I went to college, we didn't have lockers. That was strictly a high school thing. So it's all very confusing.
But if it is a high school, that's even more. Like, why are they both there in high school in California?
It's people go to boarding school, I guess, but that does seem like a weird coincidence. And yes, we're both going to go clear across country. This was, I think, that moment where like JTT was a hot commodity because of Home Improvement, because of Lion King, and Disney loves to like work it. The anything that takes off, they're gonna like put you in as many things as possible. So like, yes, let's build this film around him. And I don't think either he couldn't pull it off as written, or it needed that script needed a few more drafts from some better writers.
I hear what it is you're saying. I think that the movie had a bit more charm than you are. Like maybe it's just my love of JTT in that time period, but I know he's a con man. I know he's up to no good, but there's something about that little stinker. There's something about that little stinker,
If you ever watch this again, this is a thing that flies by, but I managed to catch it. One of there's a woman who is eating at the Turf and Turf, the steak place in Nebraska, who is now plays moms in Hallmark movies.
Really?
She's the mom in Reunited at Christmas, aka Merry Christmas Times 11.
Right.
And I saw her face. I was like, I know who that is, and I started trying to be yes, Hallmark mom.
And you were excited about those life choices.
You know what? I needed something to keep me engage my interest because the movie was not doing it.
You've hit the top of the mountain when you're able to pick out a background actor and I'll Be Home for Christmas. That's in Hallmark movies.
I could be a casting director in Vancouver at this point. I have gotten to know so many faces of character actors from Hallmark movies. It's crazy. And now when I see them on shows like Yellow Jackets, or like, oh, that was, and it's,
There you go. That's a dream come true. Let's do some Christmas cheer. Let's talk about the Christmas spirit that we got watching this on some sort of sliding scale. Alonzo, what number would you give this as far as Christmas cheer goes?
I mean, it's not great. A lot of this movie is sort of, it's either in the desert or on the freeway in Nevada. It's really not until the end, or at least the middle, I mean, you do get the Santa 5K, which is pretty terrific. You get him in a Santa costume the entire time. By the way, in his trip home, you left out the cargo plane with the flatulent dog in the carrier.
Yes. Sorry.
Heaven forbid we forget that. I would have liked to have seen them do more with the parade at the end. Although I will say the gag of the Victorian carolers having to jump out of the way of the sleigh, it was pretty funny. Although you have to ask, why are you in the street? You know.
Yeah.
So I'd say like a 4.5.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. There's like five, probably a 5 for me. I will say there's like some I got at the school. There's like this guy in the car. The bully. He's in the car and he's backing up, and he's got this like this punk rock Christmas song that I like remember from like my punk rock days, and I'm like, what is? I still can't remember what the song is. I should have looked it up, but you know the kind.
Oh, that one, sure.
Yeah, you know that one. So I got those feels for sure, but I think it's a 5. There's only so much a Santa suit can save when you're in the desert. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they definitely. Is it Blink-182's "I Won't Be Home for Christmas"?
yeah, probably.
Okay, I was looking at the IMDb list.
I won't be home for Christmas. Is that it?
I won't be home for Christmas.
I won't be home for Christmas. That's it.
The school itself, it's in a very Hallmarky way, is like every square inch of it that they can hang garland on, they do. But that because they know that we're about to be in the desert and at a gas station and whatever else. So,
What was this a theatrical release?
oh yeah, this came out. I remember it existed, and I remember seeing the reviews were not good, and it didn't cross my radar to even go see. Not that I was like, I had not taken the deep dive into Christmas movies that I would later.
And let's not. We haven't really talked about Jessica Biel, but she's in this.
Yeah, and she's fine.
Fine.
It's a barely written character. She's basically there to be annoyed by everyone all the time, which is, if I were a woman, I think I would be also. So I can relate to that. But that's about what she gets to do, and she's fine.
She does a fine job doing that. That's true.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about movies that come to mind when thinking of this. If we want to, maybe Alonzo, you want a better version, if that's kind of your thing, something that comes to mind for you.
I have one, and it's a film from the mid '80s, directed by Rob Reiner, after Spinal Tap and before The Princess Bride. It's called The Sure Thing. It stars John Cusack and Daphne Zuniga, who went on to be on like Melrose Place and do a bunch of other stuff. And it's about it's kind of patterned on the old movie It Happened One Night. It is about 2 college students. He's a slob. She's very type A and super organized. They're in the same class, English class. They can't stand each other. And then they both wind up doing a ride share to get cross country for Christmas. And they argue so much that the 2 people driving kick them out of the car. And then they have to like hitchhike and sort of like, figure out their way to get from the Northeast to Los Angeles. And it is a tons more charming than this movie is, and a lot funnier. And I think has that same, if Panda likes a road trip, I think that would be right up his alley. And it's a really charming film and very sweet. Like the love story actually winds up being really genuinely sweet, even though there's a bit of an air of 80s raunchiness. Like John Cusack is trying to get across country because there is Nicolette Sheridan plays this college girl who has been assured he has been told is a sure thing. But ultimately the movie comes out in favor of the love story rather than the sort of, 80s teen movie ribaldry.
Yeah. I just realized what would make I'll Be Home for Christmas better.
What's that?
Which is Jessica Biel being on the trip with him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That makes it better.
Yeah.
That's not like, I don't even like, they could have, if he would have just got to them when he sees him at the gas station early on, and from then on they're together, That takes this movie to another level because I'm thinking of Cross Country Christmas, Hallmark Channel movie from 2020.
Yes.
Two of them early on, they're on this trip and it's the same type of thing. They have these off ramps to these different storylines, these people, and they're growing close that way. I think that's the way to do this movie, and not so much relying on JTT's acting chops to carry.
Yeah, because the movie goes out of their way to establish at the beginning, like, what the conflict between them is and why they're different and how that's putting a hitch in their relationship. And, believe me, as you know, Bran, when people talk about, like, oh, I'm seeing somebody and it might be serious, I'm like, can you take a 4-day road trip together and not kill each other? That, I think, is sort of the test of any new couple. If they really want to, if they want to take it to the next level, 4 days in a car will let you know whether or not you're compatible.
That's right. But the Porsche. We did it, everybody. Congratulations. I'll be home for Christmas. Hope you watched it. Hope you enjoyed it. Alonso, next week it's your turn. I will now take off my headphones and allow you to tell the people what to watch over the next week.
Okie doke. Okay, so we're still in the 1940s, but we're up to 1947, which is a big year. We're going to be here for a while. And we're going to kick off the 1947 movies with the very charming comedy It Happened on Fifth Avenue, which one of the trivia notes is that this is a movie that Frank Capra thought about making himself and then wound up doing It's a Wonderful Life instead. Okay.
All right. Oh, I heard some. So I'm real excited about that. It's going to be real good. Until then, may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmarks of Bramble Jam podcast. It's presented by Philo TV. It's produced by Brandon Gray and recorded live in, Greenville, South Carolina. Set decor is by Plum at Haywood Mall. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on Bramble Jam Podcast Network, you can go to bramblejampodcast.com.